Welcome. Thank you. I'm Shoto. I'm the Sukansu and the Shisui here at SokukoJi Buddhist Monastery, which means I help keep things going, trying to help with the programming and the property upkeep here. I just want to invite anyone who finds value in these teachings to please participate either by joining us for the Dharma talks from either Sokuzan or his monks, his students. Join us for any of the book studies throughout the week, even just one time throughout the week would be great to see you in our Zendo or to join us online. We could really use your help with your practice, joining us, and also financially to help us keep the programming going here. So thank you very much.
So tonight I've been asked to talk about a line from the Hokkyo Zanmai. And I think I have one narrowed down, but I just wanted to read the poem or song first. It's one of the chants that we do. We trade out between the Hokkyo Zanmai and Sandokai for our morning chants. About every 6 months, we trade them out. And it's also called the Song of the Jewel Mirror Samadhi. I believe it's attributed to Dongshan. Does anyone know the time period I read it? Maybe the Tang Dynasty, maybe 800, 900. You guys are better with numbers, right? Sometime way back when. So this is something that we chant over and over, and from my understanding is chanted by lots of Soto Zen monasteries or practitioners. The teaching of thusness has been intimately communicated by Buddhas and ancestors. Now you have it, so keep it well. Filling a silver bowl with snow, hiding a heron in the moonlight. Taken as similar, they're not the same. When you mix them, you know where they are. The meaning is not in the words, yet it responds to the inquiring impulse. Move and you are trapped, miss and you fall into doubt and vacillation. Turning away and touching are both wrong, for it is like a massive fire. Just to depict it in literary form is to stain it with defilement. It is bright just at midnight, it doesn't appear at dawn. It acts as a guide for all beings, its use removes all pains. Although it is not fabricated, it is not without speech. It is like facing a jewel mirror, form and image behold each other. You are not it, in truth it is you, like a babe in the world, in 5 aspects complete. It does not come or go, nor rise nor stand. Baba Wawa, is there anything said or not? Ultimately, it does not apprehend anything because its speech is not yet correct. It is like the 6 lines of the illumination hexagram, relative and ultimate interact. Piled up, they make 3, the complete transformation makes 5. It is like the taste of the 5-flavored herb, like a diamond thunderbolt. Subtly included within the true, inquiry and response come up together. Communing with the source, travel the pathways, embrace the territory, and treasure the road. Respecting this is fortunate, do not neglect it. Naturally real, yet inconceivable, it is not within the province of delusion or enlightenment. With causal conditions, time and season, quiescently it shines bright. In its fineness, it fits into spacelessness. In its greatness, it is utterly beyond location. A hair's breadth deviation will fail to accord with the proper attunement. Now there are sudden and gradual in which teachings and approaches arise. Once basic approaches are distinguished, then there are guiding rules. But even though the basis is reached and the approach comprehended, true eternity still flows. Outwardly still, while inwardly moving like a tethered colt, a trapped rat. The ancient sages pitied them and bestowed upon them the teachings. According to their delusions, they called black as white. When erroneous imaginations cease, the acquiescent mind realizes itself. If you want to conform to the ancient way, please observe the sages of former times. When about to fulfill the way of Buddhahood, one gazed at the tree for 10 eons. Like a battle-scarred tiger, like a horse with shanks gone gray. Because there is the common, there are jewel pedestals, fine clothing. Because there is the startlingly different, there are house, cat, and cow. Yi with his archer skill could hit a target at 100 paces, but when the arrow points points meet head on. What has this to do with the power of skill? When the wooden man begins to sing, the stone woman gets up dancing. It is not within reach of feeling or discrimination. How could it admit of consideration and thought? Ministers serve their lords. Children obey their parents. Not obeying is not filial, and not serving is no help. Practice secretly, working within, like a fool, like an idiot. Just to continue in this way is called the host within the host. Some of my reading compared this with Sandokai. I think it was a precursor to Sandokai, kind of saying that they're complementary, that they often bring up the inseparability of the apparent polarities that show up, like light or dark. The line that I wanted to talk about was this one: communing with the source, travel the pathways, embrace the territory, and treasure the road. Respecting this is fortunate, do not neglect it. Perhaps I appreciate the language around communing with the source. I can relate to that being meditation practice. Maybe source doesn't resonate for me like in my practice, but just that communing with being still even might be how I would resonate with it. And that this poem is encouraging us to see what this is, and this is what's being recommended, and this is being said to respect this and to keep looking at this. That why would they say commune with the source? What is that, and why is it important? Travel the pathways, embrace the territory, and treasure the road. And I'm relating to this as whatever shows up, whatever material of mind or apparent people, apparent things outside of ourselves, that this is the territory that it all needs to be respected and given a chance to present itself beyond what we think of it. So for me, that's embracing the territory, to not get rid of anything, that no matter how much we hate something, how much we're disgusted with ourselves or other people's behavior, that's it, that's the territory. You can never leave the territory, or at least that's the inspiration, that we vow to be with all things, that everything is our territory, not in the sense that we have permission to meddle with it, but embrace your life as it shows up to you rather than how you would like it to show up for you. And treasure the road. And this is just my fanciness, trying to relate that then to the path, or to say, to treasure, to truly appreciate the lineage that's a part of us, that in our sitting practice, that we have the understanding, that we're capable of the understanding, that it's not something that a teacher can give us, that it's a jewel. The Buddha is referred to as someone else who sees what this is, who knows the truth, and also that that's a part of our nature, and that's for us to discover. So that's one of the treasures on the path, or in Buddhism, is the Buddha, and then the Dharma, study, to listen to teachers present. And I appreciated your talk, Chokudawa, on true student. The distinction, or you were talking a bit about how it doesn't really matter who's presenting the Dharma, that there's value in both, to hear from a true teacher and from someone still working on the path, that the student's attitude or the student's reception is really what's more important than it's always Dharma. Then there's always an opportunity to receive. That's all I have today. Get some questions, please.
Wonder behind what you were just saying there made me think of the teacher showing you your world. What is, what is the teacher doing? How does the teacher show us our world? Right?
I'm not sure on the how. I think it's just part of the functioning of someone who sees what this is, because they're moved to help. Can you get me closer to what you're asking about?
Wonder by you were saying how once you have a teacher or once you're on the path, doesn't matter if it's a true teacher or teacher in training, for example. If you're a student, you can hear, listen, and there may be something that might be helpful. So it just made me think of that do you need a true teacher before you can see anything else as a teaching?
I don't know if you need it, but it's extremely helpful to have someone who's clear enough to show you your own neurosis. It seems like we have to go through that woods to understand what our projections are, to understand what we are calling ourselves and what we function out of in our daily life. We need to be able to have someone skillful enough to help us look at the areas that would otherwise be difficult with someone of limited understanding who might be projected, like someone like us giving kind of training talks, so to speak, or there doesn't seem to be a fundamental awakening with a lot of us presenting here, that if we're working with one of us, we might misunderstand what the student is presenting us, and through our projection on them, kind of misinform them or not fundamentally help them because of our lack of clarity. But that can be valuable too. If you're a student, you can still receive that. Everything is a teaching, or that's the intention at the very least.
Ondobon, that's how I got to the how. How does the teacher show us our world? How is the teacher helping us see our minds? And how does that help us in listening to other teachers? I don't know if that's any clear.
I started to take it into the direction of you are helping yourself with the teacher. The teacher isn't doing anything without your permission anyway. That's your openness, that's your readiness when the teacher is able to give you a direct teaching into your own world. that a true teacher isn't gonna go in prematurely and just hand you enlightenment or this is your world before you're ready. I don't like those terms necessarily, but I feel like I've lost your question or missed it.
What do I know? I didn't know where I was going. What is can you say the verse again that we're talking about here, bowing?
Communing with the source, travel the pathways, embrace the territory, and treasure the road. Respecting this is fortunate. Do not neglect it.
Well, divine. So I guess I was looking at that first part, that communing with the source, and the teacher showing us, or any teacher showing us our minds. Hmm. I've lost it again. I'll work on that. Bowing.
I don't know why, or I'm not sure I follow you, but what's showing up for me is devotion. That's one way to commune with the source is if you found someone who sees this so clearly, you can devote yourself to it. You don't have to know why or that I didn't really understand your question, but that feels like a type of willingness that resonates with communing with the source. But if you can have some devotion toward someone who sees clearly, I think a way of doing it, way of practicing.
Well, divine. I really appreciate that term, willingness. Thank you.
More. Thank you.
Okay.
So the name of this is Hokkyo Zanmai, and translation of that into English is the Song of the Jewel, Mirror, Samadhi. Would you comment, please, on these three words, jewel, mirror, and samadhi, and what that's actually saying in its totality, please? Thank you.
So the jewel being the preciousness or gift of our I don't understand what the mirror-like quality is, but I guess I can relate to it as our world that the mirror-like quality can be seen. Not able to really thread that needle.
So would you say that the value part is the jewel, and the mirror like is not to? You can't see something else, and if you see something else, it's you. So you can say mirror like. I don't mean to give your talk for you, but and then samadhi is, what does samadhi mean? You can connect that together. That's also what, you understand that word samadhi? Not to, not, yeah, thank you, not to. Well, so now
So
can
precious,
you say,
not to. That work?
I would say it more not to. Thank you.
So bowing, what does respect mean in the verse? Bowing.
I'm taking it to mean allow or receive, to eat it, to whatever it is, receive it the best you can. And quite often we're blocked, so to speak. We're not respecting things because we're coming up with a name for it, and then from that point fiddling with it into like it, dislike it, needs to move this way. I like this thing, I don't like this thing. And in a way that's can be a subtle disrespect if it's taken for the thing itself. If we think that our thoughts are the world rather than them just being thoughts, and they have their own reality, they have their own life, but it's not necessarily the thing they're trying to refer to.
Sure, bowing. You said a little bit about the the negative side of that, like for projecting negativity. But how is that happening when we're like in love with something? How is that possibly like disrespecting that thing? Bowing.
Same thing, or just that it's still not seeing it. And I don't know if this really fits into the way that you're talking about it, but it's like smiling or laughing at someone who really doesn't need that kind of energy at the moment, or puffing something up, and it's actually just kind of creating a bigger monster by building up someone who's full of themselves to the point where you're rejoicing in that, you're pumping it up even when it could be time to cut it down. If it was kind of seen with a little bit more clarity. So again, we're using our ideas to live our life rather than respecting and witnessing what's occurring. And that witness, and not in a passive way, that witnessing of what's occurring includes our own functioning too.
Sure, bowing. Earlier, you made a little split between like the life showing up, like kind of receiving the life as it's showing up and not necessarily how we want it to look. And I'm wondering if those can happen like at the same time. Bowing.
You say it again.
Jodo bowing. Is there a way of looking at that, or can you talk about it like receiving the life as it's showing up in the midst of our desire for it to be a particular way? Bowing.
If I'm following you, yeah, that's the path. We're gonna have to do that. We're gonna have to function out of. So I guess what's showing up for me is the encouragement to receive, living out of preferring it to be a certain way. That, I don't know, you have to respect that part of it too. You have to respect your own unwillingness to receive. It's not about receiving all the time, or not how I understand it. That it's, you can't tally it up whether you're doing it or not. So everything. Still feel like I'm getting directly to what you're asking about.
Sure, bowing. I'll try harder. Um, I think it might be like in the Four Noble Truths, like we want something else. And I'm curious, like, what's your understanding of Naroda? Maybe is the question. Like, is it actually possible to not have that overlay of wanting it to look a different way?
Yeah, I think there's gaps all over the place as far as, but it's not about getting rid of that wanting something else, or that the ego, or just of being a human and judging and being self-centered. So I don't understand Naroda as that showing up as an appearance. I see the Naroda as, and speculation, or that I'm not sure I totally understand, or the way I'm understanding the teachings is more of the along the lines of like a magnetization that you can receive wanting something else. You can't really talk about what that is, but it's Chogyam Trungpa is coming up of the absence of struggle is Naroda, and that's not what he said, but something along those lines of that is enlightenment, that's already present anyway, that in the midst of wanting something else, the extinction is already there. There was nothing to extinguish. It's seen as an illusion. It didn't have a life to begin with, so nothing needed to extinct. It didn't need to go away. It's just another dependently arisen piece of consciousness. You just stop taking it so personally.
Shogo bowing. So like on the path, is it something like we're believing that impulse, like that we think we have to make it into something else, bowing?
I think so. Yeah, or I think that's a way of talking about it. And it's an interesting area, or maybe I hesitate because also I think that you can believe the impulse and witness that you're believing something. And maybe that's where I don't really understand what the word belief means. Maybe there's some subtlety there that I'm still figuring out. Thank you. Chokudawa.
Shokudawa, the concept of communing with the source and traveling the pathways, embracing the territory, treasuring the road. Do those look different to you? Or are they, is there like a ground path in fruition? Are they all kind of saying the same thing, or how does that show up for you?
I'll go with the first one of they do look similar, or I can, yeah, to just receive or sitting meditation for me is that it's not even something that you do. You can't make yourself receive. Communing with the source, just stop. I don't know. And same with traveling the path. Just stop. You see that you're traveling a path. Embracing the territory. That'll happen if you stop. It's embraced. It's coming at you. What's the other ones?
Treasuring the road. That seems a little more active. Are we supposed to really value the path or something?
For whatever reason, I find that to be helpful. Maybe it's our culture, or maybe the way that I'm wired, but maybe I just resonate with being magnetized to the Buddhist path. But I think that it's pretty important that maybe it is more active. Maybe while we're on the path, we do need to make it more special, so to speak. That gotta, as long as we're functioning out of our thoughts, to use our thoughts to put some hooks in seeing the truth, put our hooks into our practice, even though it's greedy, we're wanting something out of it. So Buddhism is something that you have to latch onto and build it up and promote, at least for yourself to do. That's the kind of do it anyway mentality. So I think on some level it might be active, and or can be. It doesn't always have to. There's so many different ways of teaching. You can say just receive, but more than likely we're gonna need to do a whole lot. And we're gonna do something. This is a valuable way to spend our time.
Yeah, thank you.
UW, what does it look like to neglect it when it says treasure the road? Respect the territory. How do we not do that?
Just by busying ourselves. No, it's a good question, or maybe I'm a little bit stumped of. On one hand, I feel like there's no reverse gear on this path that. I think it might have been Chazon said something about the practice being like a nerve ending, and like that it becomes more and more sensitive the more you practice. So you can't really like grow your enamel back in this practice. It's just more and more raw. So in that way, I don't think that we can neglect it. So maybe all of that to say that it is valuable and we should treasure this, because we can't really turn away from it because it's who and what we are. But I think relatively we can. I think we can spend the rest of our life just ignoring and really not make any progress. Just another circle without any real seeing happening. And then my question is, do we have any say so about that openness, or just a confusing area to me too? What do you think?
UW, yes. Further question, what, maybe you're not sure, but what drew you to pick those lines? Hokkyo Zanmai.
Keep mentioning Chazon, but he gave a talk when him and Unyo and Kozan were the only ones giving. I want to use the term practice Dharma talks, but I don't know, they, for whatever reason, resonate with that. Yeah, and I just always felt inspired, or perhaps he inspired me by the way he talked about it. And when I was asked to study about this, that's just what showed up.
So you've mentioned my former Dharma heir, who has left not only me, but this community. And I'm wondering if you particularly think he's neglecting anything, using that word as part of your talk. Not so much as a judgment, just you're inspired by him. I was very inspired by him also. I'm just curious about it, not to judge, but just you think he's neglecting. Or if you have another word, possibly.
I'm not sure in that I can't see him, or like, but yes and no, and in a similar way that I answered you, Dao, in that I feel like I know that he's still endeavoring to treat his life as a practice. I don't see him kind of able to totally shut off from receiving and that inspiration to see the truth. I feel like he's on that, and in that way he's doing his best. But yes, I would say that he is neglecting by curling up into his thinking and believing his thoughts about the way things need to show up.
Thank you.
Bowing. I liked how you said something like, with that nerve ending, you can't grow the enamel back. But can we remove the nerve from all the bacteria for a while? Bowing.
Say more and follow.
Shadow bowing. wondering while maybe it's the same thing you just said, where there's not a reverse gear, but can we still manipulate like our surroundings to kind of concoct another kind of enamel bowing?
Yeah, I think we're doing that all the time. But it's all the ego is doing is every thought is some new enamel. And yeah, is there any difference in thickness of that, or I'm not sure, but yes, I think we're always attempting to protect ourselves and to shield ourselves from pain through our thinking process.
Shadow bowing with the way it's, I guess your understanding of like how Sokuzan talks about, or how you would talk about it. Um, is it about having like a raw nerve, or is there another way of looking at that if it's like not real bowing?
Yeah, or the way you're saying it of I don't think it always necessarily means everything's more painful, or that when you're happy, you're always more happy. Things could also get more flat, or I think karma is so interesting, our life is so interesting, it goes this way and it goes that way, and what we feel and receive, the image of the nerve being exposed, the more we practice, it seems like it's likely to be the case. But I don't think it has to be, or I wouldn't use that as like a signpost to say that, well, I'm numbing things out and I'm really not feeling that intensely about something I know that should affect me a lot, so therefore I'm not doing it. Or I don't know if that I was able to say what I was trying to. Did that get close to the area you were asking about?
Shadow bowing, just to say kind of where that's coming from is when I have, it's like you just said, I think I should be feeling more about it, and there's something about that that's kind of fishy to me. Like, yeah, that's the area bowing.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever more that you need to understand, or more that you need to feel, or more of anything when, yeah, suffering's coming your way. If you're able to block it out for a little bit, it's coming one way or another. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Jishin, do you still have one?
You don't actually ask my question, but I have another one about respect and neglect. Since you mentioned Kale Tomczyk, known as Chezan, I'm just wondering if you have a view what could be a respectful way of living the Dharma, living the Sangha, and living the teacher who deeply contributed to the community over many years. Bowing.
I got mixed up. I thought you were talking about, or can you ask again? A respectful way to leave the community, or a respectful, go ahead.
Yes, we are talking about Sokuzan just mentioned that Kyle Tomczyk left the community. You mentioned twice how you were inspired by him. So I'm wondering if you see that there is a possibility of leaving the teacher, the Sangha, and the Dharma after years of building it together, leaving those three jewels in the respectful way. Bowing.
Yeah, I think there's respectful ways to leave, and yeah, we've been kind of bombarded what feel like not the most graceful exits from our community. I think I don't have a prescribed protocol for how to leave respectfully. I think it's more important that we respect them for that, for their difficulty, and with Chazon's case of this wouldn't be happening without him, or that we can respect him, or we only have ourselves, or we can't go out fixing the world, or and that's not to say that we can't be mad at what's occurred or feel disrespected, but that's ours. That's for us. You have more?
Yeah, yes, just because you chose those specific lines, which are somehow honor, respect, as I see it, in opposite to neglect, and respect to the three jewels as I see it. So I've been somehow surprised that you've been bringing those people who didn't show respect to the picture of the stock. Bowing.
No, not exactly clear, but maybe I'll talk a little bit about Jason. I just find him inspiring. I spent a long time around him, so if he did things that I feel like were out of his own confusion, and I think potentially did damage this community and didn't feel very respectful, but I'm willing to give him a break. The man loved all of us for as long as he was here. He really poured his heart into this place. So think of it like a spouse having a bad day. Still care about him, and still am moved by his inspiration of the Dharma and his dedication to our teacher, and all of that doesn't get thrown away because I feel that he's made a mistake.
Thank you.
Thank you. James? I'm unable to hear you. No, still can't. No. No, if you could type a question, that might be a way to do it as well. Are there any questions in here while his fingers move?
Wonderbai, I was just looking at the time element with looking at Jason. In that he, for 12 years, like you said, dedicated himself completely. And then had maybe 2 years, the last 2 years, maybe a year and a half, where it was increasingly difficult for him to be here. And maybe he was giving us his difficulty, his confusion, or whatever was showing up for him. And it felt like we were observing it with him in some way. And then he left. And then he blamed Sokuzan, his teacher, and made some significant what do you call it? Attempts at pulling other students away from Sokuzan, pulling a whole nother community away from Sokuzan. So, and all the way he's being genuine. He's genuine, he's all in. And, you know, there's not a separation really between wisdom and confusion. And all we can do is show up and be genuine. I guess I'm trying to find the question here, but is there anything wrong in any of that bowing?
I don't think so, or, yeah, I can't imagine what it's like to be him. Can't imagine what it's like to be any of you. I know it's difficult to be me, but it looks like it's difficult to be you. Yeah. So it's up to you, maybe. He's got it easy.
Is this difficult?
Yes, sure.
No way you can know. You can't know other, because there isn't one. Thank you for your teaching.
Can I read James's?
Mhm.
Can I read James's question?
Oh, sure.
He was typing.
You finally found his typewriter?
I think so.
Okay.
Although, how do I get to the chat with the bottom? How can giving relief to a person's realized pain compound their insanity? How can giving relief to a person's... If I'm under... Sorry, I don't know anymore. If I'm understanding his question, I'm relating it to how Chogyam Trungpa talks about grandmotherly love, where there you are. So I read the question aloud, and if I understand it, how can giving relief to a person's realized pain compound their insanity? Sometimes that can be disrespectful to the person seeing that pain. We take their pain away from them, and that was theirs. And I'm not saying every situation that we shouldn't alleviate people's pain. Sometimes that's completely appropriate. But on the spiritual path, we might want to see if there's permission. Should we alleviate their pain, or is that something that they need to see for themselves? So in that way, we can compound their insanity by shoving it down for them and pacifying it when maybe they really needed to see that. Anything further, James? Is your microphone working now? Good try. No, okay. Oh, he's typing. These guys want to leave.
We have a ceremony
Oh.
tonight.
Okay, 30 seconds, James. What is it to see peace in the self-reflection of mind?